The Night of the Fish. Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, there lived a young man named Ralph. Ralph was a nice guy, but he was always very unlucky. He tried his hardest to earn enough money to support himself and his wife. But it was always a struggle. He had to hire himself out to do odd jobs for the people of his village of Pasadena. One day, Ralph was out in the lake fishing in the hopes of catching enough fish to sell in the market and feed himself and his wife. But after hours and hours of sitting on the shore and casting his line, Ralph managed to catch only dirt floating on the shore.
I haven't even managed to get half a nibble. What am I going to tell my wife?
He was just about to give up and go home when he heard a piteous moan from behind him.
What was that?
Ralph turned around to see a dwarf with his very long beard snagged on a tree root. He was surprised to see the dwarf and didn't know how to react.
Help, Tony, for Tony's beard is snagged onto this tree root.
Sure, but where is Tony?
I am Tony, Tony the dwarf.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me help you.
He very carefully disentangled Tony's beard from the tree root.
Because you have helped me, I will do something for you.
Saying that, he removed from his pocket a shiny stone and gave it to Ralph.
Remember, whenever...
Suddenly, they heard the sound of a wolf howling.
Oh no, a wolf! I need to leave until I see you again.
But Tony, remember what?
Ralph watched Tony run and disappear behind the trees. He took a look at the stone. It was shiny and purple in color.
Maybe it is a precious stone. I will sell it in the market. Till then, let me see if I can catch some fish.
He put the stone in his pocket and sat back down with his fishing rod. He waited and still didn't catch anything. Losing hope, he said out loud,
I wish I could catch a big fish.
As soon as he said that, an enormous fish landed on the shore, bigger than Ralph himself.
I have never seen a fish this big. I could feed an entire village with a fish of that size. How am I going to carry this back home?
Ralph thought to himself that if he could make another impossible wish,
I wish the fish could carry me instead.
And voila! The fish began to move. It slid underneath Ralph's legs and began hopping toward Pasadena, bearing Ralph on its back like a rider on a horse. Ralph began to suspect that the stone just might be a magical one. He rode on. The village of Pasadena overlooked a beautiful castle of King Monaco. The entire village had heard many rumors about the king, King Monaco, and his family. It is said that the queen was a jolly one and always laughed and cheered wherever she went. The king loved her for this. One day, when the queen suddenly passed away, King Monaco became so sad that he banned laughter in the entire castle. King Monaco had a daughter called Viola. Ever since he had banned laughter, Princess Viola too stopped laughing. She was beautiful and elegant, but without laughter, she looked lifeless and sad. She went on without laughing for so long that she simply didn't know how to laugh anymore. King Monaco soon realized his mistake and decided to try and make his daughter laugh. All the best jesters, comedians, and smart alecks in the kingdom were called, but none of them could make her crack a smile. Finally, he gathered his ministers and wise men to address them to marry his daughter.
Any man who can make my daughter, Princess Viola, laugh will be awarded 50 million gold coins and Viola's hand in marriage.
The men were delighted to hear this. Meanwhile, Princess Viola was leaning out of her bedroom window when she saw something unusual in the streets below. At first glance, it appeared to be a man riding a giant fish. Soon, it was obvious that it was a man riding a giant fish. Princess Viola rubbed her eyes. It was by far the strangest and funniest thing she had ever seen. She burst out laughing. She laughed so loud that her laughter was heard in the entire castle. King Monaco, who was in his courtroom, heard the sound of her daughter laughing.
That must be Viola. Finally, someone has made my daughter laugh.
The king got up and went to her room immediately.
What happened, Viola? What amuses you so much?
Holding her stomach while she kept laughing, Viola pointed out the window. Oh, Father, I cannot stop laughing at the stranger who rides a fish instead of a horse. Oh, I am in love with him. Her father rushed towards the window and saw Ralph riding a giant fish and joined Viola in the amusement. But the joy of hearing his daughter laugh for the first time immediately wore off as the king realized his own proclamation. He immediately sent his men to call upon the stranger riding on a fish to the castle.
I want to meet this man.
Ralph was soon presented in front of the king.
What do they call you, mister?
Ralph, my grace. I live in the nearby village of Pasadena.
What do you do besides riding a fish, Ralph?
Well, Grace, I catch the fish too, and sometimes sell them in the marketplace. You see…
Oh, a peasant. Only if I imagine the consequences of my decision.
What decision, Your Grace?
King Monaco explained to Ralph everything. Ralph was delighted.
You leave me with no choice but to have you married to my beautiful daughter.
Ralph smiled. Not only did the king have to give him 50 million gold coins, he also had to let him marry his daughter. That same night, King Monaco visited his daughter Viola to reconfirm his proclamation.
Are you sure you want to marry him?
No one has ever made me happy in my entire life. I don't care how many princes, kings, earls, dukes you put in front of me. I will marry no one but the Knight of the Fish. Besides, you promised that whoever made me laugh would marry me. Finding no other way, King Monaco invited Ralph over for dinner and to spend the night. Ralph and Viola met and fell in love at once. But King Monaco was still less than thrilled about the whole thing. During dinner, the king realized that Ralph and his were incredibly common. The way they ate, the way they dressed, the way they talked, and their manners. No refinement, no sophistication. This made him very, very concerned. After dinner, he went to see his Prime Minister, Neilman, who was his closest advisor.
I cannot go back on my word, but I cannot allow my daughter to marry this so-called Knight of the Fish. So I'm leaving it up to you. Stop this wedding from taking place. Do whatever you have to do. Just get me out of this.
Neilman thought for a while and nodded. King Monaco was very satisfied, for he thought his minister would take care of the situation. What he didn't know was that Neilman had decided to stop the wedding by getting Ralph to go missing from Pasadena. That night, Neilman's guards snuck into the guest room where Ralph was sleeping. They tied him up and put him in a barrel, which they sealed tightly and threw into the sea. Ralph woke up when he realized he was about to drown and immediately put the shiny stone to use.
I wish this barrel was a boat.
The barrel grew and grew until it was a really big boat.
I wish this boat would take me back to Pasadena.
And the next thing he knew, the boat floated in the air and Ralph was going home with a confident grin on his face. The next morning, when Ralph was discovered to be missing, Viola was devastated. Father, the only person whom I fell in love with is missing. Please find him, for I cannot live without him. King Monaco felt ashamed. A search was organized at once, but there was no sign of him. King Monaco was now tensed and worried about his daughter.
What have you done? Where is he? You need to bring him back.
Your Highness, I cannot. I locked him in a barrel and threw him in the sea.
You did what?
In other words, I got rid of him.
I never asked you to something so extreme. I just didn't think he was good enough for my daughter. But I certainly didn't want to put his life into danger. What is the matter with you?
King Monaco was now deeply worried. Unaware that Ralph was fine, he immediately went to his daughter to confess. Meanwhile, Ralph's ship pulled into the port as he returned triumphant. He soon went to his lady love and told her everything. King Monaco, who had just reached to confess everything to his daughter, was shocked to see Ralph alive. "Father, someone is not happy that I am getting married to Ralph. They threw him into the sea. You must find out who it is, for such a shameful act must not go unpunished." King Monaco was deeply ashamed for what he had done. He couldn't hold it inside him anymore and immediately confessed everything to Ralph and Viola and asked them for forgiveness.
Who am I to forgive you, my grace? I just want to say that I am in love with your daughter and want to marry her. That is all that I want.
King Monaco was immensely impressed with Ralph. He gave him and his daughter his blessings. The wedding took place that very day. Neilman was sent away from the kingdom, and King Monaco offered Ralph half of his kingdom.
Thank you, your grace, but I do not wish for your kingdom or any of the riches in the world.
And as soon as he said that, he found himself waking up in a small hut. He turned around and found his wife sleeping beside him.
That was the craziest dream ever.